Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Benefits of high-speed line in France. My presentation will be in 3 parts. First, very brief, an historical review of the different high-speed line in France since 1981. Second will be impact on the traffic. That's easier bit, but that's important to highlight some particular feature about the traffic. And the third part will be the other impact. First part, the map. Basically, it's almost the same you have seen this morning with Professor Kinney. The different high-speed line. So first one, there, yes, high-speed line 1, commissioned in 2 parts, 81 for the south part, 83 for the north part. Second high-speed line toward the Atlantic, again commissioned in 2 parts, 89, 80, and 90. Third high-speed line toward the north, toward Brussels and the Channel Tunnel. Fourth high-speed line toward the south, Lyon-Valence, bypassing Lyon by the east. Then line number 5 as far as Marseille. Line number 6, which is important for Madame Trautmann, that is East TGV, which has been commissioned in 2 parts. First part in 2007, and the last 100 kilometers, it was last July. And number 7, called the Rhin-Rhône, enabling direct link between Strasbourg and the south of France, but also between France and Switzerland. Some global figures, more than 2,000 kilometers. If we want to have a broad view, you have basically 30,000 kilometers of high-speed line in the world, among which 20,000 in Asia, that is 10,000 in Europe. Basically, France represents 20% of the high-speed line in Europe. Number of train sets, above 400 train sets. And as mentioned this morning by Professor Kinney, the high-speed train set run first on the high-speed line, but also they continue on the thin blue lines. And basically, the network which is operated is 10,000 kilometers. And number of stations, 250 stations, which are served by high-speed high-speed trains, among which 19 built for high-speed line services. Next, that's the growth of the TGV traffic from 1981, first line, as far as 2015. Basically, that's a growth, continuous growth. Presently, that's 120 million passengers per year. That is the highest traffic by high-speed in Europe. But if we compare to Asia, we are rather modest, 350 million in Japan, 800 million in China. And you can notice that in the last years, there is no more growth, mainly due to competition with car sharing and coaches now, which are allowed. Next one, that's by project, because on the previous slide, we add up all the projects. In blue, that's TGV Southeast. What is interesting, that is a growth, continuous growth for almost 10 years, then a decrease there. Then again, a growth of the traffic. This part is interesting because why have we here a decrease of the traffic? That's mainly due to the commercial policy which was implemented at that time. Commercial people at that time believed that because they had the TGV, it was possible to implement the fare policies they wanted, to increase the fare, saying it will have no impact on the traffic. The reality has shown that it had an impact on the traffic. And basically from 1996 onwards, we have changed the fare policy, and we obtain again the growth which should have occurred previously. So the first lesson is take care. If you increase the fares, you decrease the traffic. Next slide, that's Eurostar traffic. That's previously it was year by year. Here it's month by month. it's presented as with, 12 months moving average to hide the seasonality effect. And basically, it starts in November 1994, as far as December 2016. So you have 22 years of monthly traffic of Eurostar. Basically, you have a growth, then decrease, and it seems completely erratic. So the first thinking is, all that is bizarre, odd. There is no rationale behind that. In fact, what I will try to explain is that all is rational and all can be explained. The first hit on the growth is there. That is November 1996. That's the first fire in the Channel Tunnel. You have a fire, the traffic is interrupted for 1 week, and then you recover, but with travel time which are degraded. The second change is there. I have called that change in commercial policy. I need to explain a little bit. Basically, to boost the traffic, there has been an advertising campaign early 1997. And under certain conditions, it was possible to have a return ticket from London to Paris for £1. Of course, it had a positive effect on the traffic, but when, after August 1987, of course, you have never that facilities or those cheap fares, and it has an effect on the traffic. The third event is there, September 2001. You know what has happened in New York. Some people were frightened for the Channel Tunnel, so they have strengthened the security checks for Eurostar. And the immediate consequence has been an increase from 20 to 30% of the check-in time. So basically an increase of 10 minutes of the travel time. And the result is a drop of the traffic, very significant. And you will say, it's going up again. What is it? That's the opening of the first section of CTRL. That is a time saving of 20 minutes. And it was on the 28th September of 2003. And from October 2003 onwards, the traffic is going up. That is, the traffic reacts very quickly. Doesn't wait for things odd. Here you have another event. We are in summer 2005. There has been terrorist attacks in London. And basically, yes, there is a mistake on the slide. That's, of course, 2005. Stop of the growth of the traffic for almost 1 year. Then it starts again. And here there is a new change. That's the opening of November 2007, second section of CTRL. That is a time saving of 20 minutes again. And the traffic is going up. Here you have a new stop, second fire in the Channel Tunnel. After that, after 1 year, so you have a growth of about 2% per year. And here you have a drop again. That's consequences of what happened in Paris, Brussels, and Nice from November 2015 as far as July 2016. So basically, the lessons to be learned. There is an elasticity of the traffic to the journey time, and that elasticity is strong. That Paris-London, it's at least -1. Elasticity to the traffic to the price is strong also. If you try to play with the fares, you will decrease your traffic. The market reacts up and down very quickly. Doesn't wait for special information. The customer know what they have to do. The fourth bullet point is about the border effect. That is, take care that between Paris and London or Paris and Frankfurt, the traffic is not the same. Is different, is lower of the traffic which would occur between these two cities if they were in the same country. For instance, between France and Germany, the border effect is about 3. The traffic between Paris and Frankfurt is 3 times lower than if Frankfurt was in France, with the same number of inhabitants. And last point, there is always a temptation to increase the fares, to internalize the benefits for the customers. At the end of the day, if you internalize all the time saving, you kill the future growth of the traffic. That's why that slide presents what has been always the economic approach on the French side of high-speed project. On the left, that's the demand, depending on the economic environment, competition, the fare policy, and it drives the revenues. On the right side, that's the operating program, which enables you to have the infrastructure, to design infrastructure and rolling stock, and it drives the operating cost and investment cost. And the key point is the consistency between the demand, the traffic forecast, and the operating program. When I say operating program, it means train timetable, but more than that, rolling stock, roster, and so on. And this consistency must be achieved in both directions. That is, you need to have enough trains to carry your traffic. And the other way, your demand depends on the journey time, the frequencies, and so on. But as long as you have not those two elements consistent between them, I am not sure you have a real project. Second part, 3 minutes left. That's the effect beyond the traffic. I have taken 3 examples. First, high-speed line between Paris and Lyon. The second example will be the last high-speed line implemented, Rhin-Rhône. And the third example will be what is done presently for the next high-speed line between Le Mans and Rennes. So first high-speed line, 81-83. The study has been carried out by the Lyon University in 1986. Basically, the first point, among the TGV passengers, we had the same number of people living in Lyon than people living in Paris. As Paris is 10 times bigger than Lyon, it means that in proportion, the effect of that high-speed line for Lyon has been 10 times greater. That bullet point, it's consistent with what Professor Kinney has said this morning. That is, as it became very easy to travel from Paris to Lyon, some big companies have decided to remove their local or regional offices in Lyon. So that's, to some extent, a negative effect for Lyon. But on the other hand, there is still in Lyon some skilled professionals, barristers, architects, and so on, and they have taken advantage of the TGV to sell their services in Paris, which was really a positive effect. Here, that's a picture showing all the area around the Lyon railway station. So the Lyon-Pardieu, the station is there. All that area has been rebuilt, linked to the railway station. And what is interesting here is that we are more than 30 years after the opening of the first high-speed line, because the station was commissioned in 1983, and there are still strong ongoing developments in that area. The Oxygen Tower was built 5 years ago. Then there has been the Incentis Tower. And I have mentioned here all the developments which are ongoing. We need to be honest. I don't say that all these developments are due only to the railway station. What I say is that such a development would not have occurred without the railway station. It's very similar to the case of Lille that Mr. Kinney mentioned this morning. About TGV Rhin-Rhône, which is the last high-speed line commissioned, December 2011. So there has been a report produced end of 2014. It was an interim report. They have tried to to pick up what was significant. Up to now, there is no major effect, in fact. But about the frequentation of the hotel, the ridership of the hotel, basically, from Monday to Thursday, the number of people in hotel of the area have decreased because basically business travelers had the possibility to achieve a return trip in the same day. And on the other hand, the frequentation of the hotel has increased during weekend due to leisure traffic. So that's just to say that when we say there are positive effects, it's always a balance, and we are not in a dream, a sort of Disney World, or everybody will win at any time. Here is about the next high-speed line, which will be commissioned next July between Le Mans and Rennes. What is interesting here is what is done presently, both with public stakeholders and private stakeholders, to prepare that new high-speed line and to make sure that it will be a success. And as example, so City of Rennes is involved in development of the Rennes station, and especially the intermodality with local transport buses, the automatic underground line in Rennes, but also bicycles. The region of Brittany is in charge of the regional railway services, so they have to reorganize their railway services to make sure that beyond Rennes there is still a benefit of the new high-speed line. And about private undertaking, they have reserved offices around the Rennes railway station to facilitate co-working. They are convinced that more and more co-working will be a normal way of working. That's all. Just conclusion, that's the last one. First lesson, market reacts very up or down very quickly. Depending on the journey time, the fare policy, but also the economic environment. So don't try to cheat with the market. The market will say what he wants, and if you improve the service, he will react positively. If you worsen the service, the traffic will decrease. Sorry. The key point for the economic assessments, that's the slide I've presented. The heart of any study is the consistency between the traffic forecast and the operating program. And if you have not that, you are never sure that your project is consistent. And the last point, if you want to have benefits of the high-speed line beyond traffic, you need to prepare that well into advance. In advance with all stakeholders, that is both public sector and private sector. Full stop. I apologize for my delay. Thank you.